Welcome back for part 2 of my Vertigo Swirl collection. I remember to put on some music now. It's in the middle of the night and I'm a bit tired, so the last video was without background music, and what you hear in the background is Beggars Opera, the band I was talking about in my last part of the Vertigo Swirl collection. And it's from the Waters of Change album, a magnificent piece of music. You should really check out Beggars Opera and the first 3 records, actually. Very good prog, from Scotland, that is. Well, let's continue with the pile of Vertigo records, and the next one I would like to show you is a one album band called Clear Blue Sky, and this was a power trio from Britain, and it consisted of 3 young lads. I think they were about 17 or 18 years old when they recorded this album, and it's a magnificent piece of heavy blues rock psychedelia. Wonderful cover art. I think it's Roger Dean who has designed this cover. I don't think it says here. Designed and drawn by Roger Dean, yes. A magnificent cover artist. On the Vertigo Swirl label, of course, which this video is about. And this is fairly hard to find in good condition. The problem with all of these UK releases was that the covers had no lamination around it. They had a matte finish, which seems to be stained and dirtied up and give ring wear over the years. But this one is actually quite nice. And a way to spot that this is a first press is to read the spine here. There's a red mark there, which is where they erased the original title, which was to be called Play Loud. It says on the label. Wonderful album, wonderful album. If you like heavy blues with psychedelic elements, this album is for you. Clear Blue Sky. I'm certainly happy to have that one. And most of these albums are re-released, many on the Akama label, the Italian label, and they offer quite good pressings with wonderful cover art, true to the originals, and perhaps of even better paper quality. But the trouble I find with Akama is that I've been told, at least, that they don't always pay the artists for their LP releases. I do have a lot of Akama releases in my possession, but that's only temporarily until I find the originals. Now, buying an original won't pay the artist either. So I'm also making sure to buy official re-releases. The next one I want to show you is actually the first record on the Vertigo Swirl label, Colosseum and the Valentine Suite. This is the cover folded out. Very nice artwork there as well. I don't know, I think it's Keith, Marcus Keith, yes, who has done a lot of the Vertigo covers. Black Sabbath's first was made by Keith, Affinity, and he always did this with the colors. I don't know which hue or saturation that is, but it's kind of his trademark, these covers. And the first release on the label, Colosseum Valentine Suite. And this is actually pressed at least 2 times on the Vertigo Swirl label. The second pressing lacks the Philips record product credit on the bottom there under Vertigo. I don't know if you can read that. So if you want a first pressing, remember to look for the Philips record product credit on the bottom there. Otherwise they are identical. But that depends on you are a first pressing freak or not. And the other aspect of that is not to purchase records for first pressing prices when they're actually not first pressings. There are many sellers on eBay trying to sell second or third pressings as a first pressing. Colosseum, Daughter of Time, the 1971 effort, I think. No, it's 1970. The second album in the UK. They released The Grass is Greener with the same cover as Valentine's Suite in the United States, between Valentine's Suite and this one, which was a strange release with a lot of the same numbers as on Valentine's Suite, but overdubbed with Clem Clempson on guitar and vocals, and added a couple of other tracks. But that was on Dunhill Records. This is the second pressing, and it's an odd one out because this is a UK pressing, but it has the small Vertigo label on both sides. And this is how to spot the second pressing, because the first pressing is the standard with the big swirl on the first side and all information on the B side. But the second pressing had for some reason this design, which is fairly odd for a UK press. I don't know any other albums that had that label design in the UK. It was more common for the French Vertigo Swirl label, and the Dutch, I think, had that same layout. Wonderful records, you all know, of course, Colosseum, one of the first jazz rock bands, with Dick Hextall-Smith on saxophone and John Heisman on drums, David Litherland replaced by Clem Clempson on guitar, and Tony Reeves on bass originally, and Chris Farlow on this record. Absolutely magnificent jazz rock group. I really love Colosseum. I of course have their live album, but that was released on Warner Brothers, I think, and not on Vertigo. The next band I would like to show is perhaps Vertigo's finest moment, according to my ears, one of Vertigo's finest moments, because there are a lot of great moments on that label, and it's Cressida, the English prog rock band with the short tunes. Wow, what a wonderful album. I think there are 12 songs on here, and yes, 12 songs. Fairly uncommon in 1969-70 to release short songs when you were a prog rock band, but Cressida did it, and they are melancholic and melodic and just beautiful collection of songs. You really have to look into this one. Some say that their second album, Asylum, is better, but I beg to differ. I really love this album. And this is actually a very unknown second pressing. The label is identical to the first pressing, but it lacks the Philips credit on the bottom of the label. Otherwise it's identical. But wow, what an album! What an album! This is one of my cornerstones in my collection altogether. First time I heard that album, it really blew me away. This cover is really hard to find in good condition because the printing on the paper is so thin that it gets spots and ring wear all over. And these records go for big money these days. But Akama has a wonderful repressing, and if you want an original on Vertigo, you can go for the French one, for example, which I have here. And I want to show you this one because the cover is identical. It's a UK export cover, actually. The same as the English version, but with a French record. With the small Vertigo balls on both sides and another font. I don't know if you can see that. Perhaps with a close-up. A little different typesetting there and a different font. But if you want an original Vertigo, go for a French one if you don't want to buy, spend silly money on a record. The French pressings sound wonderful, so perhaps that's the one to get if you don't want to spend too much crazy money on records, like I do sometimes. The next band is a very well-known band, but nevertheless I have to show them. Gentle Giant, of course. Another one of the finest moments on Vertigo Swirl label. I hope you can see the entire cover. What a cover! The Gentle Giant standing, holding the band in his hands, and this wonderful spread with the lyrics inside and the band. Oh, this is perhaps my favorite because this isn't too proggy yet. It's fairly relaxed, and of course it's prog, but not that intricate, complicated prog they became famous for from the second album, Acquiring the Taste. Wonderful, wonderful record. And if you haven't heard Gentle Giant, go listen to them right now. And this is a good starting point. But I think you have heard, if you are watching my videos, you have heard about Gentle Giant, I'm sure. Sadly, I haven't got Acquiring the Taste on Vertigo Swirl. I have got it on a Vertigo UFO label, a reissue from perhaps 74, 75, but I have got Three Friends, their third album, on UK Vertigo Swirl pressing. Another one of those fantastic covers. I don't think I know any cover on this label which are slightly less than magnificent. The cover art is so elaborate, so wonderfully executed. I think Vertigo Swirl is one of those record labels that is an answer in itself why you collect records. They're pieces of art. I wouldn't want to have this on CD, compact discs. I have some of them on compact discs, but no, this has to be on vinyl format to do the cover art justice. These records are sadly very expensive. I keep repeating myself on that matter, but you really have to know if you want to start collecting Vertigo and the Swirl era, you have to pay a lot of money. You have to be prepared to pay up. And it's been that for quite some time. The Vertigo Swirl label has been perhaps the most collectible for the longest. And now other labels are catching up, such as RCA, Neon, Deca Nova, Deram Nova, Harvest, Dawn. All these labels are catching up, but Vertigo Swirl has been expensive for a long time, and now it's getting to the point where it's crazy, I think. Okay, enough chit chat. Gentle Giant Octopus. To some, this is Gentle Giant's, or to most people, I think, this is Gentle Giant's finest hour. I do not agree. I think it's a wonderful record, but I like the first and 3 Friends and Acquiring Taste better. I think in that order as well. This is actually a German pressing, and the way to spot a German pressing is to see the catalog number on the back of the cover has a D at the end. That's for Deutschland, Germany. And the label as well. How to spot a German label. Well, all the German labels has the Philips record product credit on the bottom. But here you see ST33. That's typical for the German label. Now you know. And perhaps you knew already. And of course the German Vertigos did not have the Vertigo in the sleeve. So if someone tries to tell you that they should have, they're wrong. Only the UK ones should have the Vertigo Swirl in the sleeve. Now that was Gentle Giant.